When I started my creative journey 11 years ago in college, I first heard the word freelance and I thought it was some kind of mystical dream that could be achieved by any designer. I'm now more than a year into my journey as a freelance graphic designer, and the reality is very different from this almost, godlike attainable dream that I thought freelancing would be. And I'm here to talk about that. So, especially if you are a design student, I'm going to be covering a few tips that'll hopefully help set yourself up for the most success that you'll be able to get as a freelancer. So, we're going to fire in. So hopefully I'll be able to provide some value, give you some good tips and tricks to at least get you started. Also, we just hit 50 subscribers as well, which is crazy, which I know in the grand YouTube scheme of things doesn't seem like a lot, but if I had, 50 people in here right now watching me, that would be massively overwhelming, and it would also be very, very cramped. I very much appreciate every little bit of support, every like, every comment as well. I really appreciate it. So, hi, my name is Craig. I'm a graphic designer from Scotland. I've worked in marketing with creative agencies, charities, and I'm now working as a freelance graphic designer. And I suppose I can consider myself a professional because I've been doing this for several years now. Starting off as a design student, you're beginning to learn a lot of the fundamentals about design. Usually you do start with logo design specifically, which I feel that everybody does generally when you're starting out a creative career in graphic design, because it's one of the main elements, it's one of the first visual communicators of any brand, agency, charity, design studio, even personal brand. But we're not quite here to talk about all of that. We're here to talk specifically about tips to help you as a design student become a successful freelancer. So tip number one is build the portfolio. Now, when I'm talking about building the portfolio, you might be thinking, how can I do that? I don't have any clients at the moment. I don't have any income. I don't have anybody giving me a project. This is where you can use projects from your studies as well, if you believe that the work is worthy of being in your portfolio. And I think that's one of the main things when it comes to a portfolio. You need to always put your best work forward first. Usually I have, or if I'm sending out a PDF, a proposal to a client to say, hey, this is why you should work with me, I usually put my strongest 2 projects at the very forefront. And then usually I'll have a couple of projects that aren't quite as strong, but it's still been client work or personal projects that I have worked on that I consider to be of still quite high quality. And then the kind of final project is another very strong project to kind of round off the portfolio that I've sent over. Another way to share your work, increase your own visibility, increase your network as well, meet like-minded creatives too, is to, for example, I use Instagram and there are several accounts that share creative briefs. Honestly, there's a really good variety of accounts that are there. The kind of top 5 that I really use are Brief Club, Brief Star, Let's Brief, Brand Brief, and Brief Archive. Now, there are quite a lot of briefs to get through. Realistically, I think if you are working on an identity project and you are designing a logo and several other assets with that, usually, I mean, from my perspective, it can take anywhere between, I think, 3 to 5 weeks to have a project completed. Whereas these are weekly briefs, but they are also very stripped back. A lot of them do focus on logo design, and logo design is exactly what they are looking for, as well as, any other extras that you want to create personally. And I think it's a great way to get started as a creative, because it allows you to test your skills as well as see other people's work too, and maybe get peer reviewed, which is very easy to do. All you would need to do is ask a fellow designer, somebody else that's maybe doing the same brief as you, to maybe walk you through the process as well, because we designers, there's nothing better than having somebody appreciate the work that you've created, and even asking questions about that, because it makes us feel good. It makes us feel all warm and fuzzy inside. But yes, these briefs are a very good way to learn the basis of what a creative brief would be and the requirements for that. There is a current brief that I'm working on. It's called Redwood Home. It's a real estate company. Totally fake brief, but they're looking for a logo design. There was not very many other details to it, except from that. So I've kind of built a narrative around that, and I'll be able to share that process in probably a future video. But in being a part of these brief challenges, this brings me on to my second tip, which is networking. And networking, I feel, is either on par or ahead of actually building your portfolio and sharing your design skills. You done? You okay? Yeah. Okay, you leaving? All right. See you later. My intern. Creating a strong portfolio, that will only get you so far. I do truly believe that what you know is good, but who you know is even better, because the way that you network and who you network with will open up opportunities for you. And when I say networking, I don't mean just connecting or following people on Instagram or LinkedIn. I'm talking about engaging with content, whether it's a like, share, comment, save, whatever it is that you are doing. Engaging is so much more valuable than just tapping that like button. And I think that kind of goes without saying. You guys that are watching this probably already know this, but I think there's something valuable about somebody else actually saying it to you. It's almost like a reassurance that what you are doing is good and what you know is good, and it's reinforcing that. I recommend as well, if you can, attend industry events, attend graphic design events. I know that one of the biggest events is Adobe Max, which is usually held in October time. I've not been, but I've been to some of the virtual sessions as well, and I've engaged with a lot of the creatives that have spoken there. But I'd recommend go to industry events if you can, whether it's local or regional. If you're able to get there, absolutely go to these events. For example, I attended an AI workshop at Made Brave's strategic brand agency in Glasgow, and the audience for that was marketers. Almost everybody was a marketer or director of a company there. I was the only graphic designer there, but I read this, I saw the opportunity that I'll be able to network here. And I went there. I was the only graphic designer there, except from the other graphic designers that work at Made Brave, which, by the way, incredibly talented bunch. So if you guys have a chance to check them out, please check them out, because their work is truly stunning. But from that, I managed to network with a bunch of very, very cool marketers and incredible thought leaders as well. And from that, gave several of them my business card and said, hey, if you need something, feel free to shoot me a line. And I actually managed to get a client off the back of that I'm going to be working with. So it's really something where opportunity can come to you. But with that as well, online communities as well, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of online communities that you can be a part of, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever it is. You will definitely be able to find a community of people that will be able to help and support you. Also, if you're actively and consistently engaging with other people's content, they'll engage with you back, and you'll then be able to build a relationship with them, but then build some rapport and trust in with yourself. And then opportunity will be able to find you that way, which, considering the experiences that I've had in the past, opportunity will strike at the least expected moment. But yes, moving on to tip number 3. Another really important thing about freelancing is managing your time and your finances effectively. So what I recommend is you can either pay for certain softwares or websites that will help you do that, or use apps on your phone. I personally just use Notion for a lot of my account tracking, as well as my expenses and things like that as well. Tax as well, you have to very much keep on top of that and remember the percentages of the tax and the income that you're making to keep to the side to obviously pay tax. Because when you are a freelancer, when you are a solo design studio, I guess, you do need to tell the government what your taxes are, and then how much money that you've made, because if you don't do that, that's fraud, and fraud is not a good thing. But I'm very old school with how I keep, my invoices. I mean, a lot of my invoices are digital now, but when I first started out, I just used a notebook to keep track of all of my expenses, incomes, expenditures as well. But definitely make sure you nail that down, because once you learn everything to do with your finances, that's it. You're pretty good. You could even hire an accountant as well as you begin to grow and earn more money, and that's an excellent way to be as effective and efficient as possible. Because frankly, you've got work to do. We've got products and projects to work on, and services to share with everybody. Talking about managing time, be realistic with the expectations when it comes to your client. For example, if they want an entire logo suite in 2 days, probably not going to be able to do that. You'll need to set a realistic expectation for that, because frankly, if you're doing something within a couple day periods that would probably take about a month, if you do manage to pull it off, that's both terrifying and impressive. But if you can't pull that off, then it's just going to be a better disappointment for both yourself and your client. So you need to set very realistic boundaries and very realistic expectations for both yourself and your client. Also, I don't have a tip slide for this, but have a really solid contract. You need this when you're designing for your clients, especially when it comes to payments as well. I personally do 50, 25, 25, which basically means that at the very start of the project, before I begin any work in the contract, once it's been signed, or even before it's signed, it says very clearly that I take 50% deposit up front, basically to secure the project and secure the time of the project as well. And then halfway through the project, I take usually around about the initial concept presentation stage, I'll take another 25% as well, so that if anything happens between then and the end of the project, I'm only losing out on that last 25%, if that does happen. Because if I didn't do that, I'm losing out 50%. But yes, 50, 25, 25 is usually the most solid and safe way to conduct your project, and also get paid as well, get paid fairly for your work. Lastly, though, tip number 4, even though it's technically tip number 5, is market and share your work. Share your skills, share what you can do with everybody and anybody. There's enough social media platforms out there that you will definitely be able to be seen and be found. But with that, you do also need to be dedicated, and you need to be consistent with your work, with the skills that you are sharing. Consider creating a website or social media profiles as well. They're all free, really. All of the social medias are free that you can create from scratch. But yes, do note, this will take time. It's taken me about 11 years from when I began my college journey and my creative journey to where I am now. And frankly, if I did it again, I could probably do it in half that time, if I stayed, consistent and, dedicated to what I was doing. But you know what? Life sometimes happens, life gets in the way, but you've always got to take your opportunities when they come to you. And that's what I've begun to do, and I feel that I've learned incredibly valuable lessons from, whether it's a client, whether it's a networking opportunity, an event, whether it's an employer as well, getting in touch with you saying, hey, we need somebody, are you maybe, free to contract for maybe 6, not free, never free. I say never free. That's maybe another video about working for free. But are you available to contract for maybe 6, 9 months? Maybe that turns into a full-time opportunity. Maybe that turns into a promotion. And then you're an art director soon enough. I do want to pass it off to yourselves. If you are a designer or a design student, let me know your thoughts. How has your journey affected you? Are you freelancing at the moment? Are you in full-time employment? What are your feelings kind of on freelancing as well? But let me know in the comments, and feel free to subscribe as well. I feel I'm beginning this journey into talking about creativity in general, freelancing as well, the trials and tribulations of that, and sharing my story as well, which I realized I haven't actually shared a lot of my story, so that'll be another kettle of fish that we're going to explore together, I suppose. But with that, that's everything from me. I'll catch you later, guys. That coffee's cold now. Ah well. Yeah, I really need to work on an outro.